So what we got here is somebody else tried doing their own work and they screwed up the Sirius antenna cable. So they damaged the cable, and then they also damaged the antenna cable that goes in here to the radio when they were trying to do their own work. And they didn't plug anything back in. Most of the time when they're chasing their issues here and they're trying to figure out what the problem is, it's not in the cables at all. It's not even in the audio control module or the Sirius receiver. Most of the time it's in this roof unit here. You see how I got the visor pulled down? I got those two Phillips screws pulled out of there, and then I got the A-pillar plastic pulled off of there. It's 8 mil in these, and then you can pull the whole A-pillar plastic piece off of here. Once you get that off of there, you can expose the wires coming from that roof-mounted GPS Sirius box, and it goes from the roof and it goes down here, it goes back behind the dash, and it's that yellow cable right there, and it travels across, it comes up through this little white connector back in here, and then it goes right to the back of the radio. What ends up happening is they think this is the problem, and they want to tear all this stuff down, and they want to try to get in here and do their own work, but they don't realize how hard it is to pull these connectors off the back of the audio control module. You have to pinch down and push in so tight to get them to release, and then you pull it off. And what ends up happening is they break the connectors because they don't know how to get the connectors off, and you can't put them back together without having to replace the entire wiring harness and stuff like that. So the customer asked us, they just purchased this vehicle from us, and they said, can you at least get the connectors back into the assembly, at least get the radio connector back in and get it in there to stay. I don't care if you got to put a little dab of adhesive on there to put it back into the radio and get it to stay. I understand that's not a typical thing where you'd rip a dash out just for a simple connector. And I told them I'll do that. I'll get the radio harness to where I'll put a little dab of super glue on both sides, so where at least where you can go back in with a pick and remove it. If you ever need to pull it out and you want to put a good cable and stuff in there, I can do that. But the Sirius stuff, I won't do that with the Sirius cable because it's too small. You won't be able to work around it and pull it out anymore. Once you use a little bit of adhesive to put it back into the box, it won't stay anymore. So what we're going to end up having to do with the Sirius cable is I went ahead and told them to go ahead and get me the harness from here over to that connector right there. And I said I'll replace this section here, and I'll replace the roof mounted GPS box on top of the roof, and that way their Sirius will come back online, because 9 times out of 10 moisture got in that box up on the roof, and that causes the Sirius XM failure to pop up on the screen. And when that pops up on the screen, a lot of people want to go right for the connections and right for the audio control module here. That is not the problem. If it says Sirius XM antenna failure, it is literally 99.9% of the time the box that's on the roof that you see, the little black box on top of these Ford roofs. Even all the way back to like 2009, 2010, that was still the same problem. You would find trucks that would come in where people were trying to do their own work, and they would screw up the connections and everything, and it would just end up costing them more money, when the whole entire time all it was a little $40 box that sits right on the roof, that all they would have had to have done is pull the trim panel back, pull the weather seal off the door, take your visor off, lower that corner just a little bit, take the 13 millimeter, I think it was, some of them were 10, some of them were 13, out of the back of the Sirius box, relieve the pressure on it, push the tabs in, pop the little box out, replace just your little connector pigtail assembly here, and $40 later you were good to go. Or you could have even went with an aftermarket assembly, antenna assembly that plugs into these, and it would still operate the Sirius for you. As long as you had a radio compatible Sirius, the aftermarket antennas still work just as good as the Sirius ones do, if not better. So now I'm going to have to go back in here because somebody else did this shiesty ass work, and try to at least get this make this customer happy, because somebody came in here and screwed all this stuff up and didn't put anything back where it goes. So the concern was the Sirius radio antenna failure coming across the radio screen, so I addressed that. I know what it is now, and I've got the parts coming. But unfortunately, with the snowstorm we had overnight, and then the one that's following behind it, all of our parts are delayed out of Indianapolis, and we won't probably be able to get any parts, Ford OEM parts, here at the dealer until late Friday, Saturday, if not into next week. So I won't even be able to get this right now. At least I can get their radio back online and get them, you know, they just bought this. They want to be able to enjoy it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get the radio back online. We're going to get just a little adhesive put on the end of that connections to where it can be separated and not damaged any further. And get the radio back online, and then get this plugged back in for now. And who knows, by some miracle, maybe it'll come back online until the new parts come back in. But this connector here is no good, and the box on the roof is no good. So let's get moving here, and I'll get this all put back together, and you guys can see exactly what kind of goes into this. I'm going to step out here to my box and get my battery back up. It was bad coming to work today. We got 2 or 3 times the amount of snow down in the Alsip area compared to what they did up here in Dundee. But it's still snowing outside right now here in Dundee. Alright, so let's walk back over here to the box. Guys, if there's 18 people here, this is free information. Hit that thumbs up button. Come on, man. Help out. This is free info you ain't gonna get anywhere else. Alright, let's get in here. Alright, I got the cable slid into the back of it. Now, this face here is all loose, right? So we got none of the bolts in the face here. But now we have to slide this radio down. And it sits like so, right on top of it. There's a set of alignment tabs here and here. The radio sits down on top of it. And then you have a series of screws that go in everything that hold it in there. These are going to be all the black colored screws. The ones up here in the corners should be, I believe, the copper colored ones. But at the same time, it doesn't really matter. They all screw in. They're not going to be seen, so it's not a big deal if they don't all go right back in the same spot. As long as they go back in, that's all that matters. That goes there. You see how these overlap in these corners right here? They overlap with the audio control module. And to get this off of here, there's a couple hidden screws here and here that you can't see. That's why this airbag has to be kind of pulled out of the way. And then you can pop this plastic trim piece off here and just kind of let it hang off to the side. And then you have access to This damn thing. There we go. Yeah, I seen it. There was some kind of, I don't know if it was some kind of thing on TikTok or something like that, where they were showing the groundhog being the guy had the groundhog in his hand. I got a 2013 Escape coming in right after this. That customer's saying it has coolant leak. They have to keep topping the coolant off every 3 days. And it was previously looked at, and it was diagnosed as a water pump, but nobody wanted to do the repair. And now they're back saying they want it checked again, but before they didn't want to do the repair. So now we're going to have to get into it and actually do the repair if the last person that diagnosed it was correct. Because the 13 models don't really have the block failure that the newer ones have. So that's all established and put in. So now I can swing this down here, the front control interface, or the front control, yeah, front control interface module. And there's a connector down here that you got to kind of slide in blind. And I got a 2019 Dodge Ram that needs ball joints. That was approved by the aftermarket warranty company, but they did not approve the hub seal leak in the rear because they said Dodge actually has an extended warranty on lubricated parts, internally lubricated parts like rear end seals and stuff like that. I guess they have a warranty coverage up to 100,000 miles on stuff like that, but ball joints, because it's self-contained lubrication and it's not special lubrication from the rear end, there's no extra coverage on that stuff. So eventually I got to get to this one here, and I said, look man, I'm not waiting for a national back ordered seal, and I don't want to send the customer's vehicle over to a dealership to let it sit there for weeks before they get a new seal in. I don't care if it's covered under powertrain warranty. Call up Acme Truck Parts or something, get me the right seal for this thing so I can get the customer back on the road instead of waiting weeks to put this thing back together. No, that ain't right. Yeah, it is right too. No, it's not. Maybe it is. That one don't want to. Okay, so maybe the copper one. Where does the copper one go? Does the copper one go over here? Shit, I forget now. Oh, you know what? I think the copper one goes right here. I'm tripping. I just don't want the customer to be upset, man. You know, I want him to have his truck back. I already got it apart. I've already cleaned everything. I've already diagnosed everything. Why would I send the damn thing to a dealer to have them, another dealer, when we are a dealer? We already have a Chrysler dealer. You know, I'm more than capable of doing the work, but I don't want to send something somewhere else if it's just he's going to pay more in a deductible to get it fixed later, outside of warranty. Then he's going to have to wait, you know, 2 or 3 weeks, a month, whatever, for them to get the parts. Why not just pay the $150 now? Let me do it. Buy the $15, $20 seal, whatever it is. Let me put it all together and it get done right, and just do it right now while it's on the rack apart, and then the guy doesn't have to wait for the truck. It's all about taking care of the customer at the end of the day. People have to realize there's something bigger than we are, and that's the people that, you know, get us paid. People that pay for our lives. Forget you got to slide the bottom in first. And then you can work your way up. Same thing over here. Oh, that's right. That's where the copper one goes. The copper, that's why there's a single one. The copper one goes right there. That's where it goes, because it's plastic and plastic. And the copper bolt is a coarse thread instead of a fine thread, which goes through the plastic into the metal here, because it's got metal clips, and this has no metal clips. So when you pull the airbag to the side, the copper one goes right there. And you guys have met me too, so you know I try to take care of you. Bob is just like a brother to me. I see him all the time. Ryan's damn near like a brother to me. I mean, we talk on here all the time. We try to help each other out. He gives me advice. I give him advice. He brings his vehicle for me to work on it. Spends a ton of money with me fixing it. So a lot of these guys that you see saying this stuff about me, it's because they know me in real life. They're not just some internet guy or whatever, or people that have been with me for years on here. So, you know, I love the fact that people think highly of me, but at the same time, they're actually not lying when they say the stuff that they're saying, and it's just the truth. I don't want the customer to go without stuff because of lack thereof on our part at the dealer. You know, I'll try to do whatever I can to make it right for them. Now we got to move back over to the other side of the truck. And then we got to put this airbag back in here, which can be very, very tricky sometimes, because they'll try to fight you. They don't want to slide in. And then the Sirius cable. Let's see here. Comes down here and plugs in here. So this is your Sirius cable behind the glove box. And it goes back, and it comes up the back side of the dash right here. It goes all the way up here into the roof, and then it plugs in right here. But you see I already have it unplugged. I unplugged it because I wanted to check the connection, check for moisture and stuff in it. There, it's unplugged. unsubscribed receiver, so it's all back online now. It was a connection problem. I still want to get a new connection for that customer. You see now with me fixing the connection going into the back of the audio control module, the Sirius is actually now updating. It doesn't say antenna failure no more. So I want to get the new piece down here, and I actually want to just go ahead and just replace this little Sirius module, GPS module right there. Really all I need to do is that connector, but I know water gets inside this module up here. And there's like a 10mm bolt. It's like a 10 or 11 or some shit right here. And you pull off this metal crown. And when you pull the metal crown off, it will release the pressure on the bottom of the little antenna receiver, and then you can push the plastic tabs in and push it right out of the top. And then just drop a new one in, put your little metal clamp, jaw assembly, and as you tighten the bolt down, it pushes up against the roof and flattens a little. It holds it in, plug your connector back in, that part's done. Come down here, unplug this, undo your push tabs right here. You're gonna have to pull the radial face back off, and then once you pull the radial face back off, you can gain access to that one connector, unplug it, replace your pigtail assembly, not pigtail, your section of harness, and now you've replaced the part that's broken, and you replace the GPS receiver for the vehicle Sirius antenna assembly, and that's it. It's as simple as fixing this stuff. A lot of people overcomplicate this stuff and they break it, and then they freak out and they deal with it for long periods of time, and then they're like, oh, I'm just going to trade it in. It's not that complicated. If people just stop working on their own stuff, if they don't know what they're doing, or bring it to somebody like me that does know what they're doing, they can get this stuff done very fast, and it's not going to charge them an arm and a leg to get it done. It's very affordable when you go to somebody that knows what they're doing, so they don't have to charge you crazy hours and stuff like that, because I can rip this whole interior of this truck apart, in a matter of hours. Interior is literally my bread and butter. Electronics, modules, things like that is literally my bread and butter. I love doing that stuff. It's tedious. It can be difficult sometimes, but it's not that difficult. It's more of a mindset than anything, and it's very easy to fix if you just take a second, breathe, look at what's going on, and it's very easy to take care of. So these have tabs right here on top of the airbags that have to go into these slots. And then this fits flush down here. A lot of people I've seen come in destroyed because they try to shove these things back in here and they don't know. Get it almost nice and even, and then start tucking your top part, and then push your bottom, and then everything pops in and lines up. So then we'll go down here. Put the bolts back in for the airbag. Would you say a reputable Mexican independent shop? Pretty good too, in my opinion. I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong, but I don't know why it's pointed out that way. Honestly, there's a lot of Mexican independent shops in our area that I have to fix a lot of their mistakes, and I'm not trying to say you're wrong. I don't know that I would have said that. I know one shop out of the 4 exhaust Mexican independent shops around here that do phenomenal work, and I will take my exhaust work to them because they do just amazing work. And it's not the whole crew, it's the manager of the facility, and I ask for him specifically, and I even pay more just to have him do my work because he's been doing it so long. Other than that, a lot of the Mexican independent shops around here are not very reputable. I'm fixing their screw ups and stuff all the time. a lot of the electronic brake failures and stuff, because they don't know how to do the electronic brake work on the newer vehicles that come in here, are because I would love to sit down and educate them. I would love for them to say, hey, can you send one of your dealership technicians down here for a couple hours and we'll pay you $300-400 for his time, and just have him walk us through the procedure for doing electronic parking brake assemblies and stuff like that. And I would love to go teach these guys so they're not having these problems. But a lot of them don't even ask. And there's, I don't know. And I know you said reputable. I get it. I'm not looking at the comments right now, by the way. I'm trying to focus on doing this and keeping the camera pointed in some kind of general direction of where I'm at. But honestly, a lot of the independent shops in this area are the older people that have been here for a long time, that have been around for a long time. Not so much, unfortunately, the Hispanic shops around the area. There's just too many of them. You don't have to say my bad. I agree with you. There are some great Mexican independent shops, but just my experience in this area is I'm fixing their failures all the time. You see how I'm doing those until they stop? When I got in here, the last person that was in here did not even have those airbag bolts in all the way. I'm not faulting you, DT. I mean, I love you, dude. Man, you've been a great person since you've been here. I'm just saying, I don't know that I would put the emphasis on, just saying like Mexican independent shops, because I've had a lot of them that are really bad. The same way as a lot of the Polish shops. My God, you try to work with an independent Polish shop, those guys are like, gimme, want, can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? I worked when I was in Downers Grove, I had my own place for a while. And my father's Polish, and my father told me, he said, watch those Polish guys at that in the local area right there, because those guys will want everything for free. And I was like, Dad, are you serious? And he said, Rich, some of them are my friends. I know. That's how Polish guys are. They'll pay you to do something, but then they'll ask you for 2 or 3 things for free because you're already getting paid to do something. And I was like, he can't be right. There's no way that's true. And sure enough, when I was working there, they would come in and be like, oh, can you recharge my AC? Well, sure I can, but there's probably a leak somewhere. Oh yeah, I'm going to pay you to recharge the AC, but can you figure out why there's a leak? And also, can you change the battery and the wiper blades and stuff? Well, yeah, that's an extra charge. Well, I'm already paying you to do something. Maybe you can just do it while I was there. And I was like, damn it, my dad is right. I should have listened to Pops on that one. I ended up doing a lot of stuff for free for those guys, and they're local shops, local car dealers, But he was right. And now this here, you got to feed this in here, and this harness has to drop down. For the tweeter on the earlier model, like 14 and previous, they're kind of difficult. I'm going to try to do this with one hand. But this is you got to drop this down in here. And then, damn it. There's some alignment tabs up front right here. Those got to go in, and then once you get that aligned, you got to snap this in. Come on. There we go. Then that has to snap in. And then when you're down here, you got to get this connector plugged in. That's why I'm going down to what's going on, Jake? That's why I'm headed down to Alabama on Friday. I don't know if I'm gonna fly or if I'm gonna drive. My dad is not doing so good right now because my uncle just passed away, and now my mom was like, your dad really wants to see you. So I'm like, I mean, it's a bad time right now for me to be traveling and stuff with everything going on. But you know, it's my father, so I was like, all right, how's Friday? Can I leave Friday and head down there? And she was like, yeah, I think that's good. He really wants to see you, and him losing his brother is really bothering him right now, really, really bad. And he's got nothing but women in his life, so we need you to come down here and be with him for a couple days, try to cheer him up and kind of get him back on his feet, moving around again and stuff, because he's really, really sad. And I was like, all right. I'm coming, mama. Now, there's a couple bolts. They've got to go back in here. Try to leave it. Sorry about the light. I just got to put this in real. Let me see if I can angle it different. Out of your face. I can't. Put it right there. Try to keep my fat body out of the screen. Alright, that's back in. Now we got to put the little plastic piece here and put the visor back up. We got a couple Phillips screws in the visor, easy peasy, nothing wrong, nothing too crazy with that. Yeah, they said that my cousin Todd went down to the pond. I think it was by the pond or in his camper or something like that. Camper by the pond, and they said that they found his son found him dead in the camper. Alright, so I got the visor put back up just so you guys can see. It's just a Phillips there and a Phillips there. And there's a plastic retainer that those Phillips kind of go into. It's not too difficult. Let me get all my tools and stuff out of here. And I've got to take this thing outside and see if it'll finish updating. It doesn't get very good signal for the Sirius inside. If you jump on the Discord, we can hook you up with all the info that you need. A lot of these guys on the Discord have been doing this stuff for a while, and they've been around for a long time, and they already know what's going on with this stuff. So it's not even just me that can help you. A lot of these guys can help you. But I'm more than willing to help you too. So don't take that the wrong way. We got some smart dudes in the group, some guys that are actually active as technicians and stuff. So, and guys that have been around this stuff for a really long time. There the damn thing is. And we'll go here. This kind of gets tucked back behind this weather seal. Probably could pull it off of here. Let me pull this forward some. And then this gets tucked in there. I went down to Alabama where my father was at before, and I went to his shop when he was running his own shop down there. And good guys, don't get me wrong, I'm not talking bad about the guys that are down there, but when you go from our level of knowledge, where we've been sent off to manufacturer training, we've been working at independent shops, we've been working at dealerships, we've been dealing with part stuff at the professional level, we're constantly getting trained on all the new technology and ways to troubleshoot electronics and modules and everything else. When I went down to my dad's shop, and I kind of went down there as it was my vacation, just as I helped a little bit. The lack of knowledge on when it comes to new vehicles in this small country town was astounding. On a lot of these guys did not even know where to begin with a lot of the troubleshooting or anything. And I came into the shop for a week, and I was able to diagnose every single new vehicle that came into the shop and order parts for every single new vehicle. So when I left, all those guys were lined out for work for about a week and a half. And my dad was like, how did you ever turn out to be a person that wants to learn all this stuff and know? I just like it. I like helping people. I like understanding what's going on with vehicles. I like electronics. I like programming. I like all these weird issues that other people don't like to get into. I like to get into. But working in his shop and going from vehicle to vehicle to vehicle to vehicle to vehicle to vehicle, as one's pulling out, one's pulling in, and diagnosing every single one of these vehicles and finding all these weird rattles and sounds and everything else, and then lining up all the work for these guys for a week and a half straight, and then leaving. And my dad was like, Rich, we've been working on these customers' vehicles now for 2.5 weeks because of all the work you lined out. Now they're bringing their brothers in, they're bringing their family and stuff in, all this, their friends in. I said, it sucks, Dad, that you have a shop and you only have a lot of the old school guys that are working for you that only know how to work on the older stuff. But unfortunately, you're going to have to start investing some money in technicians that know some of this newer stuff with better training like me and things like that are going to get you further. And if you don't do that and you don't pay more money to these, mid-20s, late 20s, early 30s guys, mid-30s guys that have been doing this stuff for a while, your shop's never going to take off. It's always going to be a couple cars a day shop instead of a shop that's moving. And that's exactly what I told him, is knowledge is power. You're going to have to pay somebody $35, $40 an hour to come in here and be a shop foreman in this shop and try to help keep everything together, just like I did in the week that I was here. You're going to have to pay for it. Unfortunately, he never really wanted to do it, and he would only accept all older work. It was really easy to do and never made any money. If I went down there and I took over his shop, I would make a killing running that shop by myself. They literally have nobody in that town that can do any of the work that I do. There's no shops that are available. It's just a small country town with a few thousand people, and they have no technicians in that area that are even that knowledgeable. Available porter, see the cashier? Let's go. Let's go drive the truck. Make sure we got radio. This is one of those EcoBoost F150s I told you guys that I wouldn't, you know. Wait for these people to clear out. But, you know, just in the amount of time and the amount of work, me, by myself, that I went down in that shop and was teaching those guys and showing those guys about all this stuff, how to do voltage drops, how to do, how to check for shorts to ground, short to power, how to load test circuits and stuff like that, how to reset modules without having scanners, how to look at circuit boards that are all defective and messed up. Stuff they'd never been showed. How am I looking back there, Kev? All right. I remember a young girl came in and they were chasing an engine noise sound, and it was a GM. It had cam phaser codes, and it had a ticking, tapping sound coming from it. And these guys were going nuts. Oh, you're gonna need timing change, you're gonna need this, you're gonna need that, you're gonna need all of this stuff. And I'm like, gentlemen, what is the number one thing that causes a timing system to go wonky? If it doesn't have what? These are the things that you learn when you actually go to tech school and you actually work in a high volume shop and stuff like that. What is the number one thing that will cause cam correlation codes and ticking and tapping and everything else? The number one thing you should check before you even get started on any timing job. The very, 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 very first thing before any timing job, what do you do? And you're missing that step right now. None of you did that. There's 6 guys in the shop, 2 lube techs and 4 technicians. None of you did exactly what you were supposed to do on the first shot through. It was 2.5 quarts low. Topped the oil off, got it up to spec, cleared the codes, started the vehicle, ran it up and down the road a few times. Had realized the girl had went 9,000 miles from her last oil change, and it was burning a little bit of oil. 9,000 miles, gonna burn some oil. Had told her, you need to get into this, you need to get into the shop more often and have the oil changed. The oil's cheap, 22, 23 bucks for oil and filter. All they did was top off the oil. None of the codes came back. All the ticking and tapping and stuff went away. And I said, yeah, that's all. Good oil, good filter. That's the first thing you do any kind of job when it comes to motor work. Always check and make sure you got fluids full and that they're of good quality. And it's pretty sad that, you know, you get guys in the field that have been in the field that long, and they just get so used to doing kind of old school work where, you know, a little bit of low oil wouldn't cause that stuff, and not realize on these newer vehicles it is that critical to get that stuff done, taken care of before anything. Okay, so it says, all right, damn it, all right. It says Sirius XM updated. Okay, so the satellite and everything's connected now. It says, do you want to close? I do want to close. It says, this person is not subscribed. Please subscribe. Nope, I don't want to subscribe. Go to the radio. Okay, we got radio now. All right, everything's good in the hood, baby. Got Sirius back online. We got radio back online. Did a little temporary fix to the Sirius, well, the AM/FM connector. I put a little dab of 357 on both corners and just kind of slid it back in. So if I ever want to pull it back out, I'll have that little bit of silicone on the tips holding it in so it won't come out. But if I ever need to pull it back out, all I have to do is just take a razor blade and trim right at the edge and it'll pop back out. and then I can clean it up and do it again if I have to. But everything's online, everything's working. Oh, they asked me, you know what, they did ask me to drive the vehicle and make sure the vehicle was I gotta turn the Wi-Fi. Yeah, we just lost a few people because the Wi-Fi acted up because I'm getting too far away from the building. It always happens. And then they come back and they find the channel still up, it's still live streaming. See all the snow? The people driving real slow. I'm gonna put this, shift it into 4 high. Tow trucks out, driving around, making money, looking for people. This truck's got some really wide tires. So it throws snow because the tires are wider than the body. It's got like those big old knobby, like BF Goodrich or something like that. I don't know what the hell it is. Fuel rims, and it, when you first start out, it literally throws snow at the cars right next to you and right down the side of the truck. Yeah, I jumped in a town car this morning, and I mean, I wasn't driving like everybody else. I jumped in that thing and I moved, but I also know that car like the back of my hand. You know, a lot of people get scared in those cars because they are real easy to slide around. I'll let it slide. I go with it. I let it whip right in and right out of whatever it's doing. The car will follow. You just have to know the car. Truck ride's good, man. That's why I really like these previous. I like the 5 liters as well, but previous to 15, the thing is like 11, 12, 13, and 14 F150s are my favorite F150s for reliability. The most you ever had was like a vacuum pump leak on the back of the driver's side, no, the passenger side valve cover area, cylinder head. There's a vacuum pump that's mounted right to the back of it. You know, a little $30 O-ring kit, an hour and a half of your time. Remove the vacuum pump, put new O-rings and stuff in, reseal everything, and you didn't have a leak for another 80 to 100,000 miles. And then the coolant at the turbos, sometimes if you didn't keep like fluid film all over everything, and then didn't keep like the turbos and stuff cleaned off, you get some corrosion, kind of rust buildup and stuff there. Coolant lines would start leaking. But I really find a lot of success in the 11, 12, 13, 14 EcoBoost F150. Very, very reliable vehicle. Most people online will tell you they don't have any cam phaser issues, no real motor sounds or anything crazy. Once the 5 liters between like 11, 12, 13, and 14 start getting up there in mileage, you know, 150 to 175,000 miles, a lot of them start to lose a little bit of oil pressure and stuff, and you'll get like an oil light that comes on. You just go to a thicker oil. That's not a fix, but it'll definitely get you by longer. You go to a little bit of a thicker oil, or run something like an oil stabilizer or something in there. It'll bring the oil pressure up, and you actually won't worry about for a long time. If you do that every oil change, you're good for at least, you know, 30 to 50,000 miles before it'll start to act up again, and then you know you probably have some kind of motor replacement coming along. This truck is solid in the snow, really solid. Doesn't slip around, doesn't do anything. Put it in 4-wheel drive high. This is the only type of driving you should be doing in 4-wheel drive high, unless you're trying to get something moving, like you're trying to tow a load and you're trying to get it moving. You can use 4-wheel drive in a straight line to get it moving, but then you got to turn it back off. You got to go back in a 2-wheel drive on on dry pavement and kind of wet pavement that you're still getting good traction. The only time you want to leave it in 4-wheel drive high is if you're driving on some type of road like this, where the actual 4-wheel drive system can slip and respond the way it's supposed to. We have a lot of people that come into the dealership and they have their vehicle in 4-wheel drive high, and they're like, man, I'm going down the road at 45, 50 mile an hour and I hear this chattering sound when I start to turn kind of left or right. Or it's because you ain't supposed to have the damn thing in 4-wheel drive while you're going down a damn dry road, bud. Take it out of 4-wheel drive and it'll stop chattering. It's meant for only roads that are like this, where they're really crappy and the 4-wheel drive system can slip and kind of slide a little bit instead of binding up. That's what it's supposed to do. It even says in your owner's manual not to be driving at high speeds in 4-wheel drive. Most people won't go over 40 mile an hour in full 4x4 high. Like right now I'm at like 36, 37 in 4x4 high, and there's no chattering coming from the 4-wheel drive system at all. It's because I can feel the tires kind of slipping back and forth, just like they're supposed to when they're actually activating and doing their thing. It's how it's supposed to work. But they come in when it's like just wet pavement or dry pavement, and they'll keep the vehicle in 4-wheel drive. And I have to go for a ride with them and say, all right, verify. Oh, look over there on your dash, 4x4 high. Why are you running it in 4x4 high with just rainy pavement or dry pavement? This vehicle's not meant to be operated that way. It even says if you do it, it could void your warranty, or there's something to do with, that's not how the vehicle's designed to be used. See you later, Ryan. It's snow. I mean, it literally just quit snowing here. But they say there's another one coming right behind it. And up here in Dundee, they only got like, 2.5, 3.5 inches. They didn't get very much. Down by Alsip, where I'm at on the weekends at my girl's house down in that area in Alsip, Illinois. That's not the town she lives in, but we're in that area. I woke up to something like probably 5.5 to 6 inches. I don't know what it is. I was just trying to guess, and you can tell about 11:30 last night from where it started to this morning. Man, it was a lot more. I had to shovel the car off, or kind of like roll back and forth in the driveway just to make a spot so I could back out. And then once I got out on the road, the plow truck had been through, but it had been through so many hours before that it wasn't actually, the road was already covered back up, and everybody's acting crazy like they don't know how to drive. Well, that's how it was here too, John. I hope you don't mind me calling you Jonathan. It was nice and in the 40s yesterday here in Illinois. This time of year in the 40s, that's kind of scary because normally we don't get that this time of year. And all of a sudden they had the snowstorms right behind it. Man, you can hear those turbos when it's nice and you got the snow out. Kind of deadens some of the road noise and stuff. You go to step into the throttle a little bit. Listen. It's got that little... Sounds pretty cool. Yeah, he just bought this from us, and this has only got 96,631 miles. It's really, really clean. This truck's not, it's not all rusted out, none of that stuff. It's a 2013 model. Hello, Aunt. Oh yeah, the four-wheel drive works good in this thing. Lots of traction. Lots of traction. Lots of power. Very, very responsive. Yeah, I notice it's way more peppy in the cold than it is when it's warm. This truck is, well, you have to think about it too. A lot of people think like cold air intakes, cold air and stuff like that, it's going to increase fuel economy, and that's not necessarily the case. A lot of people think about it wrong. The colder the air is going into your engine, the more dense it is, the more the vehicle has to keep up with the right proper air to fuel ratio, which means you're actually going to use more fuel. You're not actually going to save fuel. Yeah, just like Ant said, the more dense it is, the more fuel it has to use to make sure everything stays stoichiometric and the vehicle running properly within its threshold. I get a kick out of the young guys all the time because the young guys are like, oh, I'm gonna put a cold air intake on my car. I'm gonna make more power. I'm gonna get better fuel mileage and everything else. And I say, who told you that? Well, my buddy in the car, you know, the guy that's got the Honda Civic with the cold air intake and all this, man, shut up. And then you see him a week later, yeah, man, the check engine light popped on. I had to get that thing tuned. My fuel's down. I told you, man. I told you. Anytime you increase performance like that, you're going to increase fuel consumption. You want tasteful mods, then there's tuning and stuff that has to be involved. There's ways that you have to think about exactly what you need. If you're trying to conserve fuel, you ain't making power. That's just how it is. Any kind of braggable power, I should say. You also have to think about that 19 EcoBoost. You say the oil is still looking golden, but if you look at AMSOIL actually has a little bit of a different tint to it than regular oil does. Their oil is completely different. So I try to tell people all the time, although oil color can be a good indication of what's going on with it, certain oils you can't look at like that. Because if I look at AMSOIL with all the additive package and stuff it has, and you try to compare that to like a regular oil, it ain't gonna work. It's got already its own kind of characteristic look to it. I just had this Chevy pull up next to me, and he got it in four-wheel drive back there. He thought he was gonna give me the beans. I don't think so, sir. Not happening. I will walk off and leave you in this truck. There ain't not a stock Chevy on the road is gonna beat one of these EcoBoosts. We've already done it, already tried it, already seen it attempted. It don't work. They've even brought out like the 6.0 or 6.2 or whatever in some of them, and you see those guys in Mexico. The one guy's got a 2.7 liter EcoBoost, those and those Silverados down there. This dude's doing like 140 mile an hour or something in the quarter mile in that truck. It's been lowered and programmed and everything else, and a little 2.7 liter EcoBoost. He's just raping those guys in that truck. And then there's a guy with a 5 liter that destroys them down there in Mexico, and the dude with the 3.5 EcoBoost, he actually makes more power than any of them, and he's really got that thing built. I think it's like 650 or 700 horsepower, and he just destroys all those guys. There ain't an EcoBoost or another F150 down there that destroys them. I get a kick out of the LS guys and the GMs, the stock ones. They think they're going to take a stock GM half ton and beat a Ford stock half ton. It ain't going to happen. It just doesn't happen. No donut, not in the customer's vehicle. I won't do that in the customer's vehicle. In my vehicle, I'll sling it all over the place, but not in the customer's vehicle. I don't. The most I'll do is just try to do a couple snap throttles if I'm trying to diagnose, or I'll run it kind of hard if it's a complaint with power or under a certain load. But I won't just go out and joyride or anything. Even though we did just sell this to the guy. It's now somebody's vehicle, so I technically cannot do that. Put it back in two-wheel drive and let the customer decide what he wants. Okay, truck is fixed. That's all I got for you on the did you see that they're doing a they're actually talking about coming out with a, what was it, a crossover or something like that. It's like a crossover SUV with the Focus. They want to take like a mid-size SUV and mix it with like a Focus style body or something like that. It's some kind of crossover they're talking about coming out with. The Focus, it's called a, I forget the damn name of it or something like that. But if you Google new Ford Focus crossover, you'll see that Ford actually has a concept that they're going to be coming out with, or they have come out with, or they're talking about it or something like that. Oh, the Mustang's not ever going to go anywhere. They make too much money off the Mustangs. It's too popular. Well, I'm back at the dealership now. This customer can come pick up his truck. He'll be happy that everything is back in order, and I'm just glad I was able to show you guys and just talk about nothing but F-150s, basically, for the most part, instead of getting off on other stuff in this video. And you can see exactly what was involved with taking all this stuff apart. And I don't like how this is sitting. Let me go over here and look at that real quick. I don't like how look at that. Hey! Now, should I do it? Should I do it? Ain't no lift truck. Ain't no stranger. I know that truck. It's a Ford freaking Ranger. Oh, I would have turned. Oh, it is sealed. It is in there all the way. I guess I was just tripping. Okay, Mr. Customer, you'll be happy your truck's done. Well, I'm outie. I'm done. I'm going inside. Started on my next vehicle. And then, yeah. Friday, I'm going to see if I'm going to fly out or if I'm going to drive out. Head down to Alabama. So, if any of you from Alabama are in the Haleyville area, Haleyville, Alabama, if any of you are in that area and you want to meet up or something, let me know. But until then, I bid you farewell. Have a great day. Y'all be blessed. I know you want it, but I can't. I gotta go, guys. See ya.